Yeah, resizing fonts is in this article. So I'll put it up in chat.
Okay. I'm going to mute everyone, and when they come in, they can unmute themselves.
That helped.
Unmute. All right, I am unmuted. I'm also Ed, but today I'll be unmuted. Okay, I saw her join a moment ago and then she disappeared.
Kathy just joined.
Yeah, I don't see her again. She joined and then she disappeared.
No,
yeah.
she's there.
Oh, there you are. Okay. I lost track of you. All of a sudden you turned on your video and you moved. You're muted. You'll have to unmute yourself, Kathy.
That's when you talk or
Yeah.
have a question.
Right.
Sorry, I thought I unmuted myself. Is that light behind me too bright?
No, it just looks like you've gone over to the other side.
Wait a minute, I'm going to turn on the light above me. Oh, sure. Now I look glowing. Oh my goodness. Oh, well,
your audio seems to be fine now. To answer your question you sent me via email.
You can hear me okay and you can understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely clearly.
Somebody's shaking their head no.
I don't think so. Who's shaking their head no? I heard you fine.
Tim, you were shaking your head no?
He's muted. Tim, you're muted.
I can't understand a thing you're saying.
And the grass is blue, right?
No, actually, Tim, are you serious? Because a friend
No.
had. Okay. I just wanted to make sure you weren't kidding me, but.
Yeah. If anybody else has an issue with your the audio quality, it's on their end, not yours. Yes, Sid. Unmute. There you
I
go.
was so good at turning on this microphone because it's got an on-off switch instead that I was doing that and not paying attention to the Zoom mute switch. Actually, I can normally leave the mute now on. I mean off because the microphone I switch on.
Yeah, the
Which
reason
does the same.
the reason
Okay.
I muted everyone was I did one recording and I hear a radio in the background right now.
Yeah. No, I know. I know what you mean. The only thing in the background you'll here's a German Shepherd. I can't. Right now, she's out going to the bathroom, so you won't even hear that.
So she's actually on your background, right? Okay.
Yeah, she is in my yard there. It's a little darker than that picture, though. But yeah, she is in that background. So I had to stay off until 7:03, which was sundown, Yom Kippur. So I came in and I left it till then, and I waited. I was watching. I went to the live service last night and both Rosh Hashanahs. Today I watched the live stream version. They were doing it both ways. We rent the auditorium at Stevenson High School, which seats about 900, and we had about 30 there. It's lots of empty space, and everybody has to be masked full time, including the choir and the rabbi.
Ooh.
Had to be masked the entire time.
And the guy in the back that sings too, the cantor?
Our rabbi is also a cantor. He's cantor rabbi. What's funny is by tradition, cantor comes first. So it's cantor rabbi, not rabbi cantor. It's cantor rabbi.
Okay.
Bob Jury.
Cantor rabbi.
And then he has about 16 letters after his name. because he's a chaplain. He's a certified counselor. He's going for his PhD right now. He has more letters after his name than I once asked him to explain them, and by the time he was done, I was kind of glazing over. So I didn't quite get
So
that.
you viewed 2 services. Does that mean it makes up for a prior year atonement or a next year atonement?
Well, the funny thing about services, and I won't go there, I don't want to bore people, but the funny thing about Yom Kippur and Rosh Hashanah and atonement and forgiveness, if you listen to the service, and Rabbi Rob will point that out, right after you ask for forgiveness of your sins, you ask again for the sins you're already committing now. It's not even expected it's going to last the night. You're already asking for forgiveness for those new sins.
Wow.
That you're doing. I mean, I grew up in Rogers Park, and I went to Temple Mitzvah and had a really good rabbi. And his philosophy was, if you were driving to service, it was a bigger sin than not going. That was his philosophy, and it was a Reformed congregation. Now everybody drives, and I mean, I'm in Schaumburg. As I said, the high holidays is at Stevenson High School on Half Day Road. That would be a bit of a walk.
Yes, it would. But you must not do any work, right? Yeah.
That would be a bit of a walk. So it doesn't. So you're asking. So the people are leaving and driving home at the end of the
Are committing it. Yeah. They're
driving on Yom Kippur. So of course you've got to keep asking for forgiveness, because right away you're doing that. Going back to something I think it was Bob who said, my Insider machine is running Windows 11. It's an old box running an A4 processor with 8 gig of memory. It runs 11 just fine, except, of course, what it says in the update box is once it's released, it won't support 11 anymore because it doesn't meet the requirements. But it's funny because it has no problem doing it now, and it's had no problem doing it.
It's not a technical issue. It's a matter of whether or not they'll give you updates.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. I think they'll just stop the updates. Just like I don't know if you already mentioned this or not. Did you see the end of updates for Windows 2004?
Yes.
December.
I published an article on that as well, Nat, but that's not totally unexpected, considering you're close to 21H2 for 10 and 11. Therefore, everybody by sometime in December has to be up on 20H2 or 21H1. Now, the one hairy thing, I don't get anything but a mixed signal. Part of it, I saw 21H2 before it switched to 11, and it's comes under the category of how much change you're seeing. I thought I saw quite a bit of change, but according to some people who have published articles, and I've been publishing those, 21H2 is going to be considered a minor update like 21H1. But I am skeptical of that myself. But it could be true because they may have been putting so much manpower into getting 11 up and running.
Mm-hmm. So they pulled stuff out of the 21H1 and 2 and moved it up to 11.
Probably.
I think that's what they've been doing, Tim and Ed. I think that's what they're doing.
Yeah. So most of what I probably saw on the 21H2 before the switch here probably were a lot of cosmetic things, but the changes in 11, they're going to take getting used to. A lot of things disappeared. Some of those might be in the Windows Store that you can add on as an app, but just trying to bring up Task Manager, using File Explorer. There's a lot of changes you got to get used to.
Yeah, there's maybe some changes, and there may be some third-party apps that'll bring back a few of the old start menu things and stuff like that.
Yeah, but right now, supposedly Android support that was supposed to be in 11 is not going to be there. But there's
not yet.
also there's something that just popped up recently that says maybe.
I have a feeling they're going to wait till their first update to do that.
Well, I think it has to do with the maybe is in the Windows Store. It will have something that supports Android apps.
Maybe.
That's why it's a maybe right now instead of a no.
Well, is it just for Windows? Is it just for Android development? Are you talking about
No.
running an Android app?
Yep. Running an Android app on your desktop, not through an Android attached phone, which is what you have to do on 10.
So they have an ARM emulator.
Yeah, sometime.
It's a virtualized environment in which the Android apps run in a container.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it still has to run an emulator because
Right.
it's a dissimilar processor. So you're still doing a type of virtual PC or virtual machine to be able to support that. And you have to have the code execution unit that can simulate a multi-core ARM machine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but at the moment they were saying it was going to be part of 11. Then they said no. Now it's a maybe because they may have something in the Microsoft Store. You load that on your system and it creates the emulator in virtual mode in order to run the Android app.
Well, remember how we got the Linux side, the Windows subsystem for Linux? That's an add-on, a plugin.
Yeah.
So I suspect this is going to be a plugin for people who want it.
Don't know.
And again, I'm going to find out in maybe a year, maybe less than a year, depending on what I do with this machine.
Sure.
And maybe I'll find out much later because I may decide not to do that feature right now, even though I have an Android phone. And it would tie in very well with the actual Your Phone app where you really can share.
Now, see, another thing that about 11, if you got one of the proper CPU chips that's supported, in some cases, you may have to have a firmware update to your BIOS to turn it on and activate it. But that's not clear. That is not clear. So the end result is some may have it already activated. Some may have to get the firmware update to activate it, like Asus boards, I know.
Yeah.
And then you have those that just aren't going to be compliant. You might be able to load it and run it, but you're going to have some potential headaches if you don't get the updates.
I am running Panther Canyon Pure Intel through and through, except for a Realtek sound driver. And that basically means I'm in the best shape that anybody would be in.
Yeah, I have a few machines that would be compliant, but at the same time, probably the majority of my machines would not. I won't miss 11 since 10 will keep on going on all those
Right.
machines.
Right.
Most people, there's a chip shortage. Besides affecting cars, it affects all quality type systems. If you have a low-end Windows system, forget it. It's not going to be supported. You got to have the medium and high-priced systems to be compliant. And what gets me, the TPM module. If you've never played with one, I got one that I set up on here on this machine. And trust me, it'll drive you nuts in a short time because you have to first set up a TPM unique password. Then anytime you plug any USB device in, you must give that password. You get 3 attempts, and then it quits on you. You have to pull the device out, plug it back in, and get 3 more chances, etc. So TPM for businesses and for people working from home makes sense because it's walk by, where somebody else, when you're away from your computer running, could put a USB device in and either infect your system and or pull information off they're not entitled to get. And then, but for the consumer market at large, TPM's a bunch of crap.
Yeah. It's just another password you have to keep track of.
Well, why do they think they're going to get something off your machine if when you walk away, the machine locks itself?
It doesn't lock itself, but when you stick the device in, you got to give that password.
Well, I know if you give it a password. I'm just saying if you didn't have a password on it, I mean, somebody could plug a USB device into any of my computers, but if my machine is locked, there's little or anything they're going to do other than it executing the startup code on the controller, the thing you plugged in, and then it's going to say, well, what do you want to do with this?
But that's if you locked your system when you got up. Most people, especially consumers, do not do that.
I do it.
I have an automatic lock.
Mine automatically locks, yeah.
And a lot of people that are working in businesses, they don't get the opportunity to always lock their machines because this IT department didn't set it up.
When I used to work for Motorola, that was a requirement. It automatically screen locked on you.
Well, that's Motorola, and there are some other companies, but a lot of them still don't do any of that. And you're talking small, medium, and enterprise level.
Yeah, and I know that for a time when USB was still a brand new thing, you couldn't even mount a USB drive in because they inhibited USB devices.
Okay. And that's on some systems in business, but not all.
Yeah.
And then now you got to also consider, because of COVID-19, how many people are working from home for a business, accessing business data,
right,
etc. Those aren't probably patched with all these new features.
Oh, they made sure if you connected to the domain, you got updates and you made sure that things got locked and such. It depends on how much organization and how good their IT department is, whether or not they've thought through some of the remote access.
I'll grant you that one, yes. But that's the problem in the United States. Security has been so abysmal. Look at all the cyber crime going on, and we're just now, in a matter of speaking, really getting real about addressing it.
Yeah.
That's 20 years after the horse got out.
Yeah, but at the same time, the government doesn't want people to have encryption.
Well, that's true too.
The government wants to be able to get in.
Yep. Sid is full of all kinds of interesting things that he's posting.
Yeah, the first one, when I came in, there was talk about Linux. There was an article on this Zorin that basically said it's the greatest Linux ever done, that it's better than Macs, it's better than Windows, it supports everything, it's gorgeous. They couldn't have been more effusive with how wonderful it is. I have not run it, so I don't know if anybody here has run it.
I have, and it's not a bad distro, but it's not everybody's cup of tea. That's why there's so many distros of Linux. I mean, when you're talking at least 600 distros,
more than that.
More than that. And then you're also talking at least 18 different desktops. You're talking different, about at least 24 base Linuxes that all the other distributions are based upon. Now, you see anything like that in Windows or Mac? Heck no. You
Oh
don't
yeah, there's Windows XP, Windows 2K, Windows 2003. Go on. Server, Windows Server 2012, 2016, 2022. Pick
Yeah,
one.
but these are modern ones, not the old ones.
Right.
Well, some of those distributions you mentioned are old ones, and they only run on really old machines too.
No,
No.
There's only some, and most of them have updates to a modern OS.
Yeah, and how many of them ancestor to Debian?
Almost about 80% of them go
Yeah,
back
okay.
to Debian.
So there are commonality threads. They're just variations on a theme.
That's right. And
Absolutely.
on your desktop, you've got 18 different desktops roughly. Gee whiz.
Yeah, and really it comes down to how do they distribute their applications and install new applications? What mechanism are they using to install that?
Yeah,
are you doing this the Red Hat version, or are you doing something else?
The Pac-Man for Arch base, and you got the Debian base app.
Debian apt and Synaptic.
Yeah.
And how many of them use the security features?
You can use security features
if
you want. But by default
is off.
By default, they're off.
Yes.
The firewall in Mint, the firewall in Ubuntu, by default is off. I turn mine on.
Yeah.
Yes, and I turn mine on too. But here's the thing. All applications, any OS whatsoever, the majority of the features are shut off to make it easy to have it installed on the computer, and it's up to the user to go through the application settings and turn features on. That's especially true of AV packages.
Yeah, however, there is a bundle of security policies, at least in Ubuntu, that is the Polkit, which you can install. And there's also sandboxing that is possible to install. And once you get those things in, you're in a lot better shape.
Yeah, well, I mean, 10's got sandboxing too.
Yeah, 11 has it. 11 will have it by default.
Yes, but I mean, the thing in even 10 for sandboxing, how many people in the United States have clue one, what it is, why they would want it? What are some of the gotchas? Because anything you download in a sandbox, you have to know how to get it out into your main system from the sandbox properly. Yeah. Otherwise, as soon as you close the sandbox, that all disappears.
And maybe that's good for those people.
It probably could be.
For a lot of people, that's really a good option.
Yeah, that's a good option. As I think that the plot line for Idiocracy is coming to pass.
Oh yeah.
Wait, Idiocracy?
Oh yeah.
We've had that for at least 8 years.
Oh, it's been a lot longer than that. Yeah, I can go back at least 30 without effort.
Okay. But in any event, at least we do have options with Linux. And getting back to Zorin and Mint and Elementary, these are the ones that are most often mentioned as being having a familiar look and feel to Windows and Mac users, and having a reasonably easy way of getting software.
Yeah. And I know another one that I do like. I play with quite a bit. It's Windows FX by Linux FX, which is a Brazilian-based developer. It looks just like Windows 10, and they're promising the next version coming out will look exactly like 11.
And yet, I don't think people are going to want that next version.
Yeah, that's true. I may just burn it all and just say, okay, it's a Ubuntu release. I'm throwing it on here, and I'll just use Chrome in there. Yep.
Yeah.
A lot of people want the Windows 7 look, and that's something you get very close to in Mint with Cinnamon.
Yep.
With Cinnamon.
Interesting. What if you want the DOS look?
You can get that.
It's already there. It's the command mode option that already exists in all of those.
If you want that, Sid, if you want that DOS look, load up Arch Linux, the base Arch Linux. You'll have a field day. But
Mark-
instead of doing one thing at a time, that's multitasking environment that we
Yes.
didn't have in the old DOS days.
And just remember, when you get it up and running, the first command you want to execute is sudo-f, and then you want to do rm-rf/.
Which of course removes your entire system.
That's right.
So what? If that's what you want to do, then let him do it.
What a guy, Ed. What a guy. you are.
But in any event, another one that you can use is MX or Anti-X, which
Yeah.
you can build from scratch any way you want. But it's a very much do-it-yourself distro.
Yeah.
Whereas these others are already made for people who want to just plug and play.
Yeah,
I mean, there's something to be said for the way that some of the Raspberry Pi releases are done, where you're installing your apps and somebody's already done a lot of the work on it to install it and bind it, and just do the final bind step when it loads on your machine. Which that's convenient, okay. But if you're going to go all the way back down to like source code and build it up again, that takes time on some of the other machines.
Oh, some of them you wouldn't even try to do it because it would take a lifetime to get one version up and running.
Well, anyway, we can do a lot more talk about Linux and the Linux 2 SIG.
Why?
The second link I posted is a Verge article that yesterday Microsoft came out with allowing passwordless logins for Microsoft accounts.
That's biometrics, and I have no faith in biometrics. Apple ran into it with the facial recognition with COVID because of the mask. Now they're trying to work around that. They want your voice. They got your fingerprints. I mean, why don't you give them a quart of blood while you're at it, and they'll have all your DNA.
They don't need a quart. They just need a pinprick worth. And they got that from your sugar testing meter.
Yeah.
And
that would work.
And then when a hacker gets a hold of any of this and starts impersonating you, how are you going to change it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the issue. I thought the thing was the data was only stored locally.
It doesn't matter one way or another with all the data breaches. You got to understand, once it's out there, you can't change your biometrics. And right now, the AI software is allowing not only emulation of voices, but also of images, so that any of us can look like anybody else. And with a voice sampling, we can sound exactly like them. The only difference would be how we say things and some of the words that we use. And only those people with a very good ear might pick up on the differences.
Yeah. Now, one way that some folks have proposed to get around this problem is to use these kinds of hardware keys like YubiKey or FIDO.
Yeah.
And that kind of authentication, if it happens to get breached, you can replace it. And it changes every time you log in.
Right. But F2A was great at the beginning, but they've already out in around F2A and also MFA.
Yeah.
Which is multi-factor.
Well, there's an alternative. If you get compromised, there's always the witness protection system, and get yourself a new identity.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that hasn't ever been breached.
Well, it can be breached, but the hackers won't be able to get it. It'll just be the serious ones that can breach it.
Hell, it's the government machines that are the worst off on security, period.
Yeah, that's because many governments, especially local government, just don't have the money to upgrade and update, and they don't have their own IT department.
Yeah, but that's in part due to the politicians not doing a damn thing to explain why they need more tax money. And then they blow it on things other than what they said they were going to spend it on.
Well, yeah, there's that.
And you have, all right, they build a new road, brand new bridge, whatever. They don't want to hear about that for 30 years at least. They're going to blow the money in even maintaining it over that span of time on anything else. Their little design.
Yeah.
You have to take and build everything.
Tim, you're breaking up
nuts.
again. Tim, you're breaking up again.
I don't know why.
Yeah, there's just a little problem with your bandwidth every so often.
Well, if that's the internet, guess what? None of us can do anything about it because we have no control over it.
Well, you have plenty of control. You just have to see what else you got going upstream and making sure that all of your machines aren't doing updates at the same time.
Okay. Well, I guess we're not going to be talking anymore about software piracy now that Ed took off his hat.
Well, I looked at Sid and I said, okay, he's sitting there laughing. So I thought, okay, I'm going to have to.
Actually, he looks better that way. Let's leave it like that.
Just keep it, Sid. Keep it that way.
That's his identity protection. If somebody uses facial recognition, they have to have the right filter.
Yeah, okay.
That would be it. I like that. I put the microphone and it goes inside my head. Okay.
Okay. There were some serious questions that were being asked at the beginning.
Okay.
One of which I don't think we got answered. Jerry, were you having some trouble with your Google Chrome browser pinning some stuff?
Yes, very much so. So let me bring up my Google Chrome and then I'll explain the problem I have. Okay, now let me get into shared mode.
Yeah.
Here we go. Okay. Everyone got it?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, you see the little buttons here
Something
that
I
take you
use, but-
to a website. I want to add another one, but I am having trouble adding it.
I don't think you can go beyond the 10 you have there, but I may be wrong. I've never seen more than 10 on any of the web browsers for these shortcuts.
Okay.
You're at your limit.
Yeah, and so you'd have to figure out the ones you want to drop, and that way you have space to put a new one.
Okay.
And that's why
Or use a third-party start page.
Yeah.
No, I like this page because every time you click on Google, it comes up, you got your search, and if there's a specific site you want to go to, it's already set up for you.
Yeah, Jerry, there is at least one extension that will do very much the same appearance, but you can add a lot more stuff that you can pin and you can group it. I have that on one of my Chrome browser installations. It's an extension that allows you to really customize.
Yeah, did you put that in the chat?
I wish I could remember what it was. Maybe somebody else knows. Maybe somebody else knows it.
Okay.
You want to look for the keywords, how to add more than 10 shortcuts in the new tab in Chrome. And then there's several different places that will help you get to that point. And then they point to various extensions that can do it. I mean, the other thing that you can use that if you've just used something is to use the new pull down up on the title bar that exists to show you your history. And if you're looking for something you just went in and or something you continuously go through on a regular basis, it's going to show up in your recently list.
Okay. Okay. The second one that I have is, you notice the font size?
Yeah.
Very small. I'm having trouble. I know there's a bunch of ways to increase the font size, but then it increases the icon just as well.
Well, I got a pair of binoculars I'll let you buy.
Oh, yeah?
I mean, the only other thing I can say is it's proportional to the scaling that you already use on your display. So if you're using Windows and you can set your display so that it's 125% is the default, it'll make all that stuff a little bit
I
bigger.
know, I've done that. I don't know if I'm at 125 now or not. I'm not sure.
Well, 125 and 100, there's nothing in between unless you start using
I know.
non-standard scaling.
I know. No, but I have played around with that a little bit, and I got to be careful with that, especially with putting the website together.
I have one good answer for you, Jerry. It's called 34-inch display.
Oh, yeah.
It'll make everything bigger.
Why don't you get the 108?
No, because you're not supposed to look at those so close.
I know something's happened to my eyes, and I know I got to get something done. When I was in the last time, she said she would do something, and then
Are you using the same glasses you read with?
Mine are progressive.
Yeah, okay, but remember that you might even be better off with a separate pair of glasses just for computer work versus reading.
Yeah. Okay. I've never had those. I've always used my progressive, and they've been good for me till the last couple of months.
Well, then you gotta remember to tip your head back so you can see the ones in the finer font.
I even had an eye exam, and at that point everything seemed okay, and this is after the eye exam. So
Jerry,
I gotta redo a couple things, I think.
Jerry,
Okay, Jerry.
Yeah.
In Chrome browser, under settings, appearance, you have font size, custom fonts, and page zoom that you can adjust that might help you in the interim.
And while we're at it, Jerry, I found the extension, one of the best looking ones, and well rated. Mu Tab. It's lowercase u, uppercase T, A, B. That is the extension, and I put in chat where it's found.
Okay.
And that allows unlimited numbers of things to be pinned and put into folders and all kinds of nice stuff.
Okay. The one that you went into settings was where? Settings.
Settings, appearance.
No. This is in Chrome. In Chrome, not on your desktop.
Yeah.
In Chrome.
If you want to do it in Chrome, in Windows itself, go to accessibilities. There are a lot of features in there for visually impaired or handicapped people.
Yeah, but
go down to settings.
Yeah.
And click that. Now go roll down to the appearance.
I may have. Okay.
Font size, right there. Font size, customized fonts, page zoom.
Right. Try playing with those. They might give you something more acceptable.
I don't see the customized font size.
Well, that says
right there.
Right there.
Right there.
That says you're set to medium right now.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you got very crazy.
Let me see what happened there.
It enlarged.
I just made it large.
Yeah, I know. And
this looks a lot better now.
And you have custom fonts that might be good to go through.
Yeah.
And you have page zoom. You can go higher than 100.
I know. I have done that before. Okay. Who just came in?
Dennis came back, I think.
Oh.
Must have fallen off.
Oh. Okay, I'll play around with those a little bit.
Yeah, I lost my connection.
I have a question. Ed, you said something about that he might want to get a separate pair of glasses for computer work versus
Yeah.
Yeah,
reading?
yeah. If you talk to your ophthalmologist, they may recommend you use a different set of glasses for reading versus computer, because when you're doing the computer, you're at 15-inch difference or so right here, okay? And when you're reading a book, you're reading like here. Those are different focal lengths.
Yeah, I have 3 pairs of glasses.
That's what I
Distance.
have. Yeah.
I have distance, I have reading, and then they average the 2 for my computer.
Yeah.
I've got this for the computer.
Also for computers, they may have filtering that they add to it that reduce blue light effects upon you just through the glasses alone.
Yeah.
All of my lenses have that, outdoor and indoor.
Block that UV.
It's not just UV; it's also some of the blue.
Keeps you awake at night.
Well, it's also good if you're starting to develop cataracts.
Oh,
I have a homeopathic eye drop that I started using when I first was told by one of the retina specialists that, oh, you're starting to get cataracts. And after I used it for a couple of years, and I happened to be required to go get another vision exam due to my higher than normal blood sugar, he looked in my eyes and said, you have nothing to worry about with your cataracts.
Can I ask what that one was that you used?
It's a Sinatera eye drop. Just a second.
Because I have the beginnings of a cataract in one of my eyes, and I actually had eye surgery about 3 years ago on my left eye. And as a result, I have to go to a retinologist once a year now. And natural, okay.
It's called Natural Optical Ophthalmological yeah. You know what it is.
Like the eye doctor?
It is recommended Sinatera eye drops for cataracts, crystalline lens.
Can you spell that CIN?
I'll look it up and I'll put it in the thing.
That would be great. But I've been using periodically I take hyaluronic acid, which is good for your eyes. And I went back to my retinologist about a month ago versus a year ago, and he told me that my eyesight was actually better this time than it was a year ago, which confused me but made me happy.
Yeah, well, let's keep clear the difference between where a cataract is and what all these retina problems are. Those are different parts of the eye.
Yes, they are.
If you have retina problems, you need something for your retina. If you have cataract problems, you need something for that.
Okay.
All right.
Well, then maybe I just did better at the eye exam, which right now is tricky because when you go in for an eye exam, you have to wear a mask and then your glasses fog up.
I use a top wire to stop that from happening. Some places they just put tape on you.
Yeah. All right. I pasted it into the chat.
Okay, good.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. And I've used this for probably about 6-7 years.
Okay.
And I don't have to use it every day. I may use it several times a week, but it seems to have been keeping things at bay.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, those things. Go ahead.
It's actually a really old homeopathic. So before they could do operations to remove cataracts, this is what they used.
Yeah, and the sooner you start using these things, the better, because the early stages are much easier to treat.
Well, when you think about what are cataracts, but the types of proteins that have come out of solution in your aqueous humor. So if there's something that could cause it to redissolve, that's basically what a cataract is. Those floaters and stuff like that, it's a type of protein that's come out of solution, and it is sitting there, and it's obscuring your vision. Well,
Actually, floaters and cataracts are two different things.
Well,
Cataracts are hardenings in the lens.
Well, there is hardenings of the lens, but this is where you get the cloudiness and you get the things that are just are blocking the eyesight. Yeah.
You're talking about floaters. Yeah. These kinds of things that you're talking about are really good for floaters and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But when you talk about cataract, normally you're talking about a hardening of part of the lens. And that eventually gets so bad the lens has to be removed.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not really a big deal these days getting a lens replaced. It's just, it'll be better in 10, 20 years.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But if you can avoid the surgery, all the better.
If you can postpone it, well, it's better not to have it. But, you know, it's not the worst kind of surgery you could ever have, cataracts. I think Sanford had cataract surgery.
I've had it too.
I had to have cataract surgery on one eye because that eye developed macular pucker, which is a bubbling up of the retina on the inside back of the eye white part. And a surgeon needed to go in. They said if you got any kind of cataract development, it will, if you don't change to an artificial lens, it goes bad fast, and you would then have to have the lens replaced anyhow.
Right. Eventually, it happens to pretty much everybody.
Yeah, and I've got a tiny one developing the other eye, but I have to be a surgeon at least once a year for how is my eye doing after the surgery. He told me up front, there is no way to get 100% of your vision back, but I got the majority of it. There is a little distortion. So far, I can live with it. It's just one of these things.
Yeah, so yours had something to do with the with a macular issue in the back of the eye.
Right.
Yeah, that also happens to quite a few people. And again, there are lots of natural remedies that can help prevent that and help with people who have it.
I'm waiting for the powers that be to approve the Novartis solution for making the lens more flexible.
Yeah, if that ever gets in, that'll be a pretty nice thing.
Yeah, I'm still running with my OEM equipment.
Yeah, well, I still have my original lenses. It's just I supplement them with ever growing amounts of lenses in front of them.
These are Costco specials.
Okay.
Well,
yeah.
The glasses I've got are cheap ones out of the drugstore. It's just a case where
Tim, I accidentally muted you.
Everybody got muted.
the left eye, I have a contact lens in because the natural vision is 6 to 8 inches. The right one that got lens replaced, they asked, do you want the reading lens or you want the distant lens? So I went with the distance lens. It's kind of like LASIK, but the difference between my left eye and right eye right now is so great that your brain cannot compensate.
Right.
So I have to have even a lens in the right eye because though it's pretty good, it's not really good enough, and I have to have a slight to make it vision, and I have to wear glasses in order to read anything.
Well, these are 1.25s, and if I need something stronger, I go up to 1.5.
The way I afford my glasses is I use Warby Parker, and they actually have bricks and mortar stores in the Boston area. So they're based in New York, so it's really only a 2-day delivery.
Okay.
So there are cheaper ways of getting eyeglasses than going to the big the ones that are owned by Luxottica. So what else is everybody experiencing with their computers?
Actually, I haven't used my computer as much as I probably should have used. For the most part, we've been worried about other things as well. I have a feline that has pushed his way up to about 17 years old, and he'd been dropping his weight for some time. He was at one point in time almost 10 pounds, and 2 weeks ago he was down to 5.7. So we finally got something that he likes to eat. Believe it or not, it's white rice with butter and salt. And he's up to 6.8 today.
Yeah, I have one cat that I have to, she doesn't eat much, if any, wet food. The only thing she can eat and keep down is food that's for sensitive stomachs and skin, and treats.
Well, I have the hairball treats, and also on occasion when he's in that mode, I will give him the quarter of the chewable pesticide. Those of you with dogs don't have to worry about things like that, right?
You appreciate the couple of you said the T word, and Zerpy here, her head just jumped up.
Yep, recognize that thing right away. Didn't identify with the hairball word though, huh? No.
No, but the T word she gets right away. She can be at the farthest back of the yard, and I can almost whisper it.
Yeah.
And she'll come in express mode when she hears
Yeah, but
word.
I do have to give him it's like a prednisolone. It's a steroid type for cats. Cats can't actually metabolize steroids. They can metabolize prednisolone though. And I have to give him half a tab twice a day, and that's what keeps him eating.
Yeah, I know that one. For dogs, they have it with it's like a syringe, a big syringe, and you squirt it in their mouth.
Oh, that would be a lot easier than what I have to do.
And they like the taste of it. They lap it down. But you gotta
that's good.
Squirt the stuff in the mouth for them.
Yeah.
By the way, back to the eyesight one, I use Vivaldi, which is a Chrome-based browser, and at the bottom in the status bar, there's actually a slider for size. So if it's too small, you can just grab the bar at the bottom and increase or lower to whatever you want. And you can set those permanently if you want to. Otherwise, the next time you go in, it'll reset to whatever your default is. So that's one way to do that with limited fuss and muss. The other way to do it is, right now I'm sitting here, I have this 32-inch to my left, this 32-inch to my right, the 75-inch in front of me, and this is a 17, and to the far right is a 24.
What's on the ceiling?
Yeah, now on the ceiling is a projector.
Okay.
What do you have? A bug eye that you are looking at all those monitors at the same time?
My friend Bennett Weaver passed, and he left 2 sealed new 32-inch monitors, and they said $100 each, and I said I'll take them.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So 32-inch now to my right, 32 to the left, and the 75-inch 4K in front of me. So,
but the one that you use is the 17-inch.
The one, well, it's interesting with Zoom. If you check the box for a dual display, what it does is on the 17-inch, I see the grid view. On the 32, whoever's talking pops up in a separate window. So it stays in grid view on the 17, but whoever the speaker is pops up and on the side. The only thing weird about that is if I'm looking at people talking, I'm looking over here. So it looks like I'm looking off to the side at nobody.
Yeah.
Because the camera is still here on the 17.
How is the Vivaldi browser on memory though?
I haven't noticed too much of an issue with it. It's Chromium, so it's the regular Chrome type stuff. They do use tab sleep. So after a time, old tabs that haven't been used in a while are put to sleep, which is a good feature, and it works fine.
No, I'm just looking for something on my older machine to get rid of the snap every time I want to view my Citicorp page.
Mm-hmm. I have used Vivaldi a lot. I've got about 6 different browsers on here because I play with lots of stuff. I mean, it depends the kind of thing. I like Brave a lot. Brave is really nice lockdown security, but that means that some sites will not work on it, which is why it's never been my default browser, because some sites, no matter what, I can't get working on there. One of those is Facebook, and I understand why. They're intentionally sandboxing Facebook down. But when you want to do a live view stream that you're generating, it won't work.
Well, Vivaldi lets you control the updates? Because I know Brave insists on wanting to do new updates, and on some machines it updates and then I get blue screens.
Yeah, you can do it in 2 ways. You could do it so it notifies and lets you decide.
Okay.
You can check a box that says downloaded but don't install till you tell it.
Right.
Or you can do an auto do it. One of the things they did add, and I'm not a fan of these, and everybody's doing these damn things now, are background update checkers that are installed. I mean, it's Adobe Acrobat has one. It does it. Snap Camera, believe it or not, has one.
That's why I moved to an old version of Adobe on some of my machines, so it isn't running the background stuff.
Well, and that's the thing. You have to periodically go into your startup programs and disable almost everything in there. You wouldn't disable your AV program, and there's a few things for sound or video drivers that you need going, but almost everything else is bull. You don't need it as long as you know how to keep the software up to date at all times.
I agree with you. I use something called Sumo, SUMO, which checks on everything and gives you a list of what needs updating. If you don't pay, you get the list and you get to go get it on your own. If you pay, they'll handle the link stuff. But I run the portable version of that, and it works just fine. With the exception of a few apps, for some reason, they have version numbers that do not exist. I mean,
that does happen. I use the Sumo updater also. I have a few of them where there's a paid version that is a little higher than the free version, or I might be they might be listing a version that is still beta or something of that sort might happen. Once in a while, I'll report one of them and say, hey, this version doesn't exist yet. And the fellow who writes it, Kyle, what's his name, will send an email back saying, oh, thanks for pointing that out. How would you like to try a reduced price on my pro version?
they do that every single time. I get this 20% discount email thing. Thanks for reporting. Here's a 20% discount thing. If you want to pay it. But it's helpful for that kind of stuff instead of running all these darn things in the background constantly that want to do this stuff. One of the worst is Garmin. I have a Garmin GPS, and I love the Garmin GPS. It's much easier than dealing with phone stuff. It's got a nice size screen. It does one task well. But what it does is every single time you update the software, it checks all the boxes again. It turns on background shutdown. It checks the box, keep always running. Every update. And there's no reason for that. It's just as easy to keep whatever settings. But they do that every single time.
Yes, I don't like programs like that. They forget my settings. I usually forget them.
Updaters are best used as a guide for what you can update.
Yeah, pretty much.
But if you use them that way, which is what I do, then they can be very useful. Things I wouldn't remember to update, someone will tell me about.
And that's just it. Sumo does that. I don't need every program to do that at the same time in the background. There's no need for all of those things running.
No, just turn all of that stuff off.
Yeah, you do, but as some of them, and ones like Google are the worst because they put themselves in a task as well. And the task is designed to reactivate every time.
So that's where you have to get from sysinternal's program called auto runs. You go into auto runs, and if you turn it off there, it ain't turning back on.
There's a number of places where you can do that. CCleaner has one in the startups. You can uncheck those. And basically, it's going in and removing it out of the startup and the registry. It doesn't always get the ones that are started up from DCOM, though.
Yeah.
But be aware with that. Every single Chrome update will put that back in again.
Oh, yeah. Every single time. Absolutely. The only way to do it is to manually install an old copy of Chrome that doesn't know how to auto update. And then you can stay there for a while. There was a time when I just said, I'm going to stay at Chrome 69 or 68 because 69 started giving me blue screens on one of my machines. So I said, forget this. It's not worth having a blue screen every time I want to run Chrome.
I don't know why, but my Chrome doesn't ever try to automatically update itself. I just do mine manually.
You must have taken out the Google Updater out of startup.
Yeah, it isn't there.
Okay.
So maybe I used CCleaner to do that.
Well, either that or one of the things that has happened along the way is you've put in an alternate entry for wherever Google Update thinks it needs to go. And it's going to your host file and going to the 127.0.0.0.
No, I'm not smart enough to do that.
Okay. Yeah, if you spoof the addresses where the updater wants to go to, and he says, I can't get to the update server, it pretends like it never updates.
Yeah. Well, there's all kinds of tricks you can use, but getting things out of your startups, that is the #1 recommendation.
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff that starts up now, especially on Windows 10. I don't know if you can keep track of all the things that are running now. Sometimes it just says, whoa, look at all them programs that are running.
As soon as you say, well, I turned everything off, it'll turn most everything back on at within a month.
Yeah, I'm just looking here that I'm looking at all the things that are running right now on my machine. I'm only up to 194 processes.
1, 2, 3, 4. I've got 4 major startups that are listed in startup apps.
Yeah.
And I've turned off 16.
Okay, that's good. Well, it depends again what you're using your machine for and whether or not it's critical for you to have certain updates in place or not.
Yeah.
I know that there's something to be said for having the auto update in Zoom to attempt to subvert the zero-day exploits that seem to be so prolific as of recent times, to keep people from actually being able to be compromised. Of course, a lot of it has to do with whether or not you visit sites that could compromise your machine, or you pretty much stick to generic stuff. But even a Google, I've had top item in a Google search looking for something like my town weather, and the top search item happened to have an exploit that tried to subvert Chrome.
Wonderful.
I mean, it got reported and removed within about 15 minutes, but there's still, things that are out there that all they need to do is sneak one in, and, it depends on how much you trust when you download stuff.
Well, that's another reason why in Chrome and Chromium-based browsers of any kind, I switched the search engine from Google to DuckDuckGo. You don't get all the ads, and that's where most of the traps are at.
Yeah. Of course, then you go back and search. I searched for this before. Where is it in my history? You'll never find it in the DuckDuckGo. So now you are your own responsibility to find out what you just searched on and where was that thing you just bought.
Yeah.
I mean, I've used the search and the search history to keep track of which items I needed for doing some stuff for some legal work that I had to provide for as an expert witness. And that really helped identifying, okay, what was I doing here and here and here and here, and then keeping track of the time. Okay, other people have questions. Kathy, you have another one. Unmute. Still muted. Still muted.
Press your space bar, Kathy.
Press your space bar.
Press your space bar and talk.
There. Oh, one time.
You have to hold the space bar down while talking.
And I
Okay.
client asked me,
No.
what is Microsoft Exchange?
Microsoft Exchange?
Yeah, what is it? The client asked me, and somebody can explain it.
It's a mail server that businesses use and government agencies use very heavily. It's kind of like a Windows-based server, but it's strictly for emails, but you could also have a share on that same box.
Does it have any security features like, all this cyber stuff?
Only if the people who are responsible for the machine apply the updates and patches, yes. Those that don't do it are the ones that are getting hit with ransomware. They're getting hit with other cyber bull crap. And it's their own fault because they're ignoring the machine because they everything A-OK.
Yeah, because I think
no good security.
because this client thinks he's having his client information stolen, so that's why I think he was asking about it.
Well, not that long ago, I think it's been only a couple months, the FBI went into a lot of Exchange servers and forced an update, but they can't keep doing that because they would have to start billing these companies for IT service that they're not doing themselves.
Terry, do you have either a Hotmail or an Outlook.com account?
Well, that's going to be my second question. Apparently, my Outlook is on the web, and they got now I've got trouble with scanned documents, forwarding them. So I guess I'm gonna have to do something else other than Outlook on the web.
If you have Outlook, if you have an Outlook account, that's an Exchange server account on a Microsoft server.
All right, but what's the difference in between, like I said, Outlook, they're telling me on the web versus, I guess, regular outlet or whatever?
There is no difference. It's the same server. If you've configured Outlook to talk to your Outlook account on the web, and you go into account settings on your Outlook 2016, it's going to tell you it's an Exchange server. Okay? It just, where's the Exchange server? Is it at Microsoft or is it inside the brick and mortar building that you're in that the company owns? The only difference is whose server is it? It's still an Exchange server. It's the same Exchange interface.
I mean, it's our server, yeah.
Well, that's your server, but if you have an Outlook account, you have an Exchange connection to a Microsoft server.
Well, then
But Microsoft-
why is some of the stuff I'm scanning and forwarding people aren't opening? I guess that's the problem.
Well, that's a separate issue unrelated to Exchange.
Okay.
They may have certain rules that block scanned images. Now, if you scan an image, put it in a PDF and send it to them, can they read that?
I guess I do on some and some I don't.
Well, if you put it as a PDF, that goes through everything.
Beautiful.
You send a TIFF file to somebody, you might have it blocked because it says we don't accept TIFF because it's too hard for us to scan it. Or if you send a JPEG, certain kinds of JPEGs they may reject as well.
Well, there's also a lot of modifications that can be done to most picture images to put malware.
Yeah,
in them.
and you can put malware inside of any deliverable package. It's just that the easy way is I'm going to reject all of those type of extensions, and I'm only going to accept the ones that are truly printable.
You're a big help, Ed. Thank you.
Okay. Are you back, Kathy?
I'm back and I have a question.
Okay.
All right. So I had a problem, and I must preface it by saying I never, ever, ever, ever click on links in emails from people I don't know. And even when it's people I do know, and I think they're being stupid, I don't click on the links.
Right.
I'm extremely careful about that. That being said, one night I was really tired and I clicked on a link I shouldn't have clicked on. I got an email saying it was from my bank, and the message said, online banking suspension. Dear customer, we noticed an unauthorized access on your account from a blacklisted IP.
Yeah.
And we have come, and wait, I can't even read my writing. And we believe someone has your password. We have taken action to protect you by limiting your access until you review our identity. To regain access to your online profile, we need you to verify your details.
So how much information did you send them?
I sent nothing.
Good. Okay. That's good.
But I believe, and again, I was so tired that night, I'm not sure, but I believe I clicked on the link, but I sent no information.
You're still okay. If you clear the cache on your browser, that will eliminate anything that was saved there. And if you use something like CCleaner, that will actually do a little bit more of the cache information that normally isn't cleaned. And anytime you get something like that, you can always re-verify, use a separate browser instance and go and look at your bank information. Make sure you can still log into your bank. That's all.
Well, the other thing about that is any kind of financial institution in particular, don't believe the messages you get offhand.
Mhm.
Always pick up the phone, call the bank, and see if they sent it. If they sent it, that's different. If they didn't send it, you get the CCleaner and you clear out your caches.
Yep.
Well, I actually did do that. That woke me up, and I did call my bank immediately. And they checked and they said, no, we did not send that to you. They asked me to forward the email to them, to their phishing department. And so I did forward it to them. And then they said, delete the email. And I deleted it and I cleared it out of my trash.
Well, remember, you may have a copy in your sent folder because you sent it.
Well,
Good point. I probably didn't delete that.
Yeah. Okay.
Also, your caches.
A lot of that. If look where the source is. It's blah 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 at gmail.com. Our clients, us. I mean, it's a big thing. But the first thing is check where the email comes from. you'll find it's not a bank or anybody else. It's blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah at gmail.com. It happens all the time.
Yes, and you also look at the message, how well it's written. Foreign ones, kind of mistakes in wording, spelling, etc., and that's a big red flag.
Yeah.
Spelling, yeah, the spelling, yeah, oh yeah.
Sid?
No bank will ever send you an email telling you you need to verify your credentials.
Yeah.
Ever. It will never, ever happen. You don't need to check anything about it. Just know no bank would ever send that. My ex is a bank vice president, so I've heard of most of this stuff.
Yeah.
They will never, ever send you that. They will send you a physical letter if they need to give you information on stuff, or they might disable the account and wait for you to call them. But they will never have a link for you to click on to authenticate yourself. They just don't
I
do
can
that.
kick myself. Like I said, I am so careful about that. I think I was just so tired that night that I did it without even thinking, and it was too late. But like I said, I didn't send any information. I just clicked on the link, and then I saw when I read, I didn't write down whatever I read after I clicked the link. I immediately got out. I called the bank and they said, no, we didn't send that. So I didn't do anything further, but that's a good point. So I wrote down, clear the cache, use CCleaner. And Ed, you said something, use a separate browser. What?
Just say, shut down your current browser instance and reload it fresh.
Oh, okay.
Yes, because usually if you're going to use CCleaner, you have to exit your Chrome browser or whatever you used so they can thoroughly clean it and then fire up a new instance and then go manually to your bank. Don't click on any link, manually go to your bank's website and just verify that the stuff they were feeding you is not true.
Well, what I also did is I have several computers. So since that time, I mean, I didn't know if I should run malware bytes or something like that.
No, not usually. Now, unless you have something else that shows up, there probably wasn't enough time for anything to come down. And even then, the things that came down have probably been vaporized when you cleared the cache.
Okay. And
only if it downloaded an exe file that you ran.
No, I didn't.
And changed and encrypted all of your files.
And in fact, what I've done since that time, I haven't even done any online banking on that computer. To do my online banking, I just switched and used a different computer. So just to be on the safe side.
That'd be a good one way to do that. Otherwise, you could use, I mentioned Brave as a browser. You could use something like Brave for your bank type stuff and keep it separate that way.
Oh, okay. Because the problem is I'm out of town right now and I have a couple of bills that I didn't get paid before I left town. So I brought them with me. And it's like, but this is the computer I had the problem on. So today,
more than likely it's fine. More than likely it's fine.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you so much.
I like famous last words. It's probably fine, but it actually is. By the way, Kathy, you don't have to kick yourself. Nice guys like Ed and Bob, I'm sure they'd stop by and kick you instead.
They would what?
You said you could kick yourself. I said it's a nice group. You probably don't have to.
Yeah, you don't have to kick yourself. We'll come by and do it for you.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
But about that computer, just as a matter of good practice, once a month you should be scanning with at least one antivirus.
Really? Okay. What type of antivirus? I mean, I use
Windows Defender comes with Windows, or you can use Malwarebytes for a second opinion, the free edition.
Okay, because I do use Windows Defender, and I mean, I don't manually run the antivirus, but it does periodically. I get the message, and since that time, it has come up and said it didn't find anything.
There you go, Kathy.
You're okay.
I gave you the boot.
What it has, however, done is a quick scan. Once in a very long while, you do want to do one of the more in-depth scans, a full scan.
Oh,
A lot of the current antivirus and Microsoft Security Essentials, aka Window Defender, will automatically scan certain things that come down and immediately remove them from your system. You will see, if you ever go in there and look at the log and see what it found and removed, because I have things that I have wanted to keep, and it will go ahead and remove them before you could do anything. Especially like any of the NurseOff password revealers, they always love to delete those things. Download one of those and see how long before it removes it off your system. That'll tell you how quickly it's able to find those.
Yeah.
Now, granted, it's looking for patterns and it looks for certain file types. So it's not a heuristic, I'm going to learn and I'm going to see what this app is doing and trying to determine that's a bad app, that's a bad actor. I will remove it from your system, like some of the Norton ones had done in the past. But they found that the pattern match usually gets 90%, especially if it just looks at new things that just came onto the hard drive.
But Windows Defender now does have some heuristics.
Yeah, it has limited heuristics.
Yeah,
That helps you prevent for zero-day exploits.
I've got one Windows 10 system recently that's misbehaving in Chromium-based and Chrome browsers. Every time you download, it downloads virus scan, deleting it. And that's Windows Defender, and I gotta remember to go into that machine and either disable it or find out what setting will stop that from happening.
Yeah. I mean, worst comes to worst. I mean, there's things where I've had systems that have, I was suspecting there was something wrong with it. I ended up pulling the hard drive out of that unit, plugging it onto a USB interface, and then scanning it with a separate system. Takes longer, but then you can get even the boot time viruses and boot sector viruses as well.
And how do you activate the Defender? Is that automatic or is that an app or how does that work?
It should be right now in your system tray. If you go down there and look for the thing with the shield on it, it's there.
Yeah, it's an automatic thing unless you install a third.
Yeah, unless you install another third-party antivirus program.
Yeah.
But I always used to, on the previous to Microsoft Security Essentials being renamed Window Defender, and you had the standard Window Defender in Windows 7, I always used to bring down Microsoft Security Essentials and throw that on those machines.
so Bob, you had said that the Windows Defender I'm using would be the quick scan that it runs automatically, but I think you said I should then run like a full scan.
Once in a while, you should hit the advanced button and run a full scan.
Okay.
Once in a while.
How do I do that then?
Okay.
If you look at the same place where you do the quick scan has an option for a full scan.
But I mean, I don't do the quick scan myself. It just does it automatically. So do I click on the shield at the bottom?
Click on the shield,
Hold
and it will bring up something that has the shield called security. And under security, you'll see something that says current threats. It'll say quick scan, and it'll say scan options. One of your options is to do a full scan.
Right there. See the virus and threat projection?
Wait a minute. Hold on a second. Oh, okay. Where?
Right. I clicked on the shield on the bottom in this tray. This popped up.
Okay.
There's the virus and threat possession. You can do scan options. You can do a full scan. You can do a custom scan. You can do all kinds of stuff.
Okay.
That's where you get it.
So you're saying do the full scan then?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Just once in a while.
The only time you really need a full scan is if somehow your machine has been allowed that something else can put on your hard drive. and you haven't been running your computer and it came in through another method. Like you pulled out an external hard drive, plugged it into another machine, and it put something on that hard drive and you brought it back, or you brought in something through a network share and you just brought in a whole set of subdirectories and it hasn't had time to go through them all. Yes, that will take time. And that you may want to do a full scan. But for the most part, because I've had some machines that when they get so full, a full scan is going to take you better part of a day. And that doesn't always, it's not always productive. But if you've been doing the occasional quick scans and you clear the cache and you don't have a lot of stuff on the machine, you're going to catch most of them that way without having to do a full scan. You want to do a full scan? I have a friend of mine that swears by doing full scans every week, whether he needs it or not.
Now, these are CAT scans he has done every week?
It's like the doctor's remedy. Take 2 scans and call me in the morning.
Yeah, I actually we're scanning the hard drive, not your cat.
There you go. I always wondered about that because if your dog, I've had my dog has needed CAT scans, and I was shouldn't you have a separate dog scan? No, it's still a CAT scan. Sorry, we're not doing that. But I put a link in chat to the Bitdefender toolbox page with the free stuff. It's not easy to find that page anymore. It's tricky because they want you to pay for Bitdefender now. So pay attention to that link because it's not easy to find to get to the free stuff now with Bitdefender.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say the one right above that is CNET's 2021 review of the different antiviruses.
Now, when you scan with something like Malwarebytes, it will by default do a more thorough scan. And that's going to take a couple or 3 hours at least. So let it run overnight.
And a couple things that you want to make sure you do is don't install multiple antivirus programs that are constantly scanning your machine. When you have 2 of them that are fighting over your hard drive, it will be bad. So Windows Defender is kind of nice that it sort of backs out of the way and lets the other antivirus. But if you have 2 other third parties, they will fight each other to the death and your machine will quickly become unbootable.
That's why most of the third-party AV programs will detect another third-party program and will not install until you remove the previous one properly. And some of them require special tools to be downloaded from that manufacturer's site to remove their product completely. Then you can go ahead and install the new AV program.
Which is a pain in the tail end when you have to try and find what version of stuff they had loaded so you can remove it because the one that was there expired and nobody paid for it. So it stopped working, but it still won't let you put another one in.
And Norton and McAfee are 2 top ones.
Yeah. Now with the Malwarebytes, it isn't active, so it's not going to fight with anything. It's an on-demand scanner.
So
you gotta be careful. If you get the trial version, you have to go into settings, go into the account, and disable it. The license, the trial period of 14 days. And then it becomes the free version. The trial version contains their AV program, and that can interfere with other AV programs already on the system. So when I get a trial version of Malwarebytes, I go into the settings gear, I take and deactivate the account, and I never have a problem thereafter with Malwarebytes interfering with my other AV program.
Yeah, you downgrade it to the free version.
Yeah.
And once it's the free version, it won't interfere.
My own personal preference is I will never install McAfee on anything I own.
Amen, brother. Amen.
The machines I've had to repair that have had virus programs loaded on them were protected by McAfee.
Oh, don't get me started.
Norton, I don't like either for similar reasons, but also because I call it bloatware, and you're using their software on your system that you're trying to do any kind of work on and can't get it all accomplished.
Norton is just obnoxious.
They may be obnoxious, but the last few versions have been fairly light in terms of resources. I mean,
Yeah.
for a pay one, the latest ones have been moderately light. What's sad is I'm T-Mobile, which was the guys who got hacked. So they gave 2 years of free services for account monitoring. And who did they use? McAfee.
Yeah.
Oh, can't resist that one, Sid.
Did I hear a rumor that Norton bought out Avast and ABG?
Not that I know of.
Yes, I published the article on it. They accounted the purchase of those really about 8 years back, and now Norton LifeLock bought out Avast.
Well, shows how much I know. I haven't used Avast in a few years.
Don't you have to put your pirate patch back on for saying Avast?
Not any longer. Not any longer. And if you were a pirate, you'd say Avast.
Avast.
There you go. I also put a link in. What is Microsoft Exchange? I put a link for something called Neva, and I don't know if anybody here has played with Neva. I upgraded Vivaldi today, and they've now put Neva into Vivaldi as a search engine. Neva is an interesting one. It says it's former Google execs. It's entirely ad-free because it's a subscription search engine. And I was wondering if anybody had played with it.
Have not done it myself. Actually, I think the Norton Avast thing is in progress, but it's not yet consummated. Because it was announced in August 10th or something like that, they were going to do this merge, but I don't see anywheres without pulling the full Wall Street Journal article about when the date of the merger would take place.
Do all of you maybe recommend 1 or 2 different types of antivirus?
I use the built-in Windows Defender on almost all of my machines.
I do that. Plus, I scan with Malwarebytes free.
Well, the other thing with AV programs, it's a moving target. Are you an expert shot? You'll have to constantly, every year, change your AV program. The ratings change every single year. So you're chasing your own tail.
You don't have to put that much effort into it. It depends on how you surf the internet and what you trust and what you download. If for most of the things, most of the sites you're visiting are like Google and Gmail, and you're just reading email or something like that, most of the antiviruses are going to function fine for you because you're not going to get anything in your machine. If you are searching with a DuckDuckGo and you've turned off all content, don't filter anything, I want to go to that section on the dark web, yes, now you need something more protective because you are basically going through the raw information and you will be more vulnerable. If you're looking for something for free and you want to download it, guess what? That's the things that they're going to be targeting. But if you don't do those kinds of things, and let's say you're just Netflix or whatever, those kinds of things, your servers that are supplying you torrent links or whatever are filtered and verified before they put them up, you're going to be pretty much okay. Does that answer your question?
It's yes, a lot of good stuff to think about. Thank you.
Okay. All right, other questions out there? I'm sure somebody, Dennis, you haven't had any questions today. Just one, I think you had. You had on mute. Still muted. There you go.
I'm actually, I'm using this Windows 8.1 machine, and I used to have a volume button in the taskbar, and you click on it and it brought up a little, scroll up and down.
Right.
It disappeared. I don't know where it is.
Well, you got to go into your devices, find the device that controlled your volume, and usually there's a checkbox there to show volume control on Systray.
Well, there's a little volume speaker there, and when I look at it now, it says Realtek HD Audio Manager. But when I click on it, it gives me all these options for sound manager, sound recorder, volume control, but it doesn't open up. It opens up a great big screen of things. It doesn't open up a little control on the bottom of the screen. So I don't know what happened.
Sometimes there's an option in that box that will only show you the volume control or only show either recording or playback devices.
Yeah.
So there's options on that screen that will control what you see.
When I right click on the clock and pick properties, it shows me the system icons, and it shows clock is on, network on, power on, action center on. When I look at volume, it says off, but volume is also grayed out. It won't let me click on, and it's the only one that's grayed out. It makes no sense.
It sounds like your device for sound built into the system has updated a piece of software that's taken control of your sound. That's what it sounds like.
I have Realtek Sound, and what happens is that control center tries to take over in place of the Windows sound controls. And on some machines, you can keep them separate. On others, you can't. It's a driver and driver software thing.
Okay.
But by the way, the Realtek Control Center is far more detailed than Windows anyway, so it works quite fine. And if you go into Windows and go into devices and go into the sound devices, you're going to have the same options you always had.
Now, it may be grayed out on your sound because isn't your sound being controlled by Zoom right now?
When I do open up the Realtek, it does. Let me bring it up again.
Well, like I said, you may need to change this. You may need to check this again when you are not in Zoom.
Okay.
Because Zoom and Win8 might be interfering with each other, because I know Zoom does want control of some of the audio devices.
Yeah. Okay.
Don't you have a F key control for your speaker and up and down?
And the other thing you can do is right click on the icon and see what it gives you.
I did a click on the volume, and even with zoom up, I can adjust the volume where I can increase it or lower it.
Yeah, but you're on Windows 10. He's on Windows 8.1.
I know.
So that may be one of the things that is interfering with it. I would just make sure before you start making changes in real time that you're running on pretty much a unloaded system with nothing running, and then see what its effects are.
Absolutely right. And the thing is, in Device Manager, I think your Windows sound driver is probably disabled, and your Realtek sound driver is controlling everything.
Yeah.
That would be in what, Bob?
Check the Device Manager.
Device Manager. Okay.
Under Sound, see which sound devices you have and which ones are active.
Okay.
Because you may be able to switch. Just don't do it during a Zoom meeting. You might
Right.
get logged out.
You might lock up tighter than drum.
Yeah, Realtek is a pain in the butt. They're constantly updating the software. Sometimes it doesn't work right, and sometimes it works okay, but it keeps interfering with a lot of things on an awful lot of computers that use Realtek.
Okay.
You have to be careful with Realtek tech stuff, especially if Windows wants to do an upgrade of your driver. Be very wary of that.
I have had, well, on my system, it depends on where I plug in my sound. Right now, I'm plugged in through my Thunderbolt port, and that is using a Windows driver. Realtek has no control over it. But if it's the internal sound and I'm plugged in through my audio jack on the computer, then Realtek takes over. So it depends on which device I'm using.
Okay.
But yeah, Realtek does like to take over.
Yeah, and sometimes it's not a good thing.
I like it usually, but there are times it's a pain.
Yeah. Why, were you considering of upgrading that machine from Windows 8 to something newer?
I can't. It's my wife's machine for church, and there's software on it, and I can't touch this machine.
You dare not go near it. I know that line. Yes.
Yeah, I can't touch this machine.
Can't touch this. Sorry. I just couldn't resist that one.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, you can't touch this.
It's from church, so just like Christ was crucified, if I touch this machine, I'll be crucified.
Yeah, I know that feeling. I have the same problem when I have to maintain a lot of the stuff at church. So, yep.
But now, what's your church plan to do in 2023 when 8 is a dead product like 7, XP, and everything else that's older than Windows 8?
By then, we'll all have new machines.
That's not a given if it's a church property.
True, but since I'm the chairman of the board of trustees, it does fall to me.
I might have to become an atheist, I guess.
Or you'll have to proselytize Linux to them.
Yeah.
For a lot of the things that a lot of churches do, Linux would probably work for most, but I'm not sure about the availability of something like QuickBooks. That gets a little sensitive.
There are alternatives, but they're not the same.
Not the same, right? Especially when you have QuickBooks doing your payroll.
Yeah.
And they have a lot of specialized software, like for scheduling communion ministers and scheduling mass coordinators and scheduling the guy who does the speaking, doing the readings at church. You know, they put in all these things in the programs, whether they want to do it once a month, twice a month, every week, every other week. I mean, it's like a lot of software from the church that's running.
Yeah, but odds are it'll still work on Windows 10. And so it could probably be updated. And any program that doesn't run, you can try running it in compatibility mode, and it may run as 8 on a Windows 10 system. The thing you have to do first is you must up that system, anything that's on that drive, or even put a new drive into that computer and start from scratch and put everything back on the new drive if you can get a hold of the software, and then copy over the data files.
You just put your finger right on it. If you can get a hold of the software. That's the problem, is a lot of times somebody's installed something and it was updated and You had 3 web updates from the original software, so you no longer have the original software or any copy of the download that was installed. I've gone through that, and that's why I ended up with fresh installs of Win 10 to be able to support some of this stuff they needed, rather than trying to migrate, because the migrate did not work after about 6 or 7 tries. I said, time to drop kick, we're punting, and we're going to go back to the 20-yard line and install stuff fresh.
Yeah, there's a lot of pieces of software for system cleanup, and a lot of other people. They believe in taking and removing everything from the download folder. Anything I download and install in my systems, I always keep the most current version and purge only the older versions out of the download folder. But a lot of those programs will complain. You got 8 gigabytes worth of junk on your system. Let's get rid of it.
Only 8? Only 8? I had 60. 60 on one machine that I had to clean up.
Well, I mean, I've had some that had a lot more. It's just a case where this is 8 gigs of the last version of every piece of software installed on that individual machine. Whereas if and I only do cleanup every now and then of the old stuff, so it could balloon up quite a bit too. But almost every machine, I got 7-8 gigs at least in the download folder.
Yep. Even Windows these days wants to clean out your downloads.
Well, they definitely do that. Let's just see. Users.
Now, a way of getting around that, of course, is to take what is in your downloads folder, the installers, and move it someplace else, or at least keep a copy.
Yeah, but that's a little inconvenient. I understand where you're coming from. I got a couple real low-end systems that don't have much mass storage to start with. I put in a micro SD card. I will copy all the download stuff over to it periodically. But that's also an inconvenient pain in the butt, because then when I go searching, sometimes I forget that I moved it over to the micro SD card.
And then it's a question of which micro SD card you moved it to.
Well, mine, I leave the same in there. It acts like a secondary drive, and it's always there. I don't change them around.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, that's a good thing for that one.
It's kind of like your smartphones. You can put an SD card in all but Apple's phones and use it as a secondary storage device. Yeah. And some of the stuff that you download that go into the internal drive space, you have an option to move it to the SD card, but not everything will move.
Yeah, not everything.
Well, then don't ever get a Pixel or Pixel XL, because they don't have SD cards.
A lot of the Apples don't either.
Yeah.
Well, then you use the Windows My Phone app and put it on your PC.
Okay, Kathy, you had a question.
I don't have a question, but I see we're running out of time, and I wanted to share something that was very exciting that I witnessed yesterday, and I thought you might all be interested. I saw the SpaceX launch last night from my balcony.
Cool.
I'm not in Schaumburg.
I figured you had to be in Florida somewheres.
No, I'm in Myrtle Beach.
Okay.
And they told us on the news yesterday that there might be a possibility that you could see it, but it was going to be somewhat overcast, so they weren't sure if you could see it or not. So I stood out on the balcony and I watched the launch live on my computer, so I knew when to look for it. And all of a sudden I saw I just saw a little red dot in the sky. Yeah. And then looked like it went through the clouds, and I waited and I waited and I didn't see anything. So I says, oh, that's it. We must be overcast. But I stayed outside, and then all of a sudden it appeared, and it was phenomenal to see. And if you tell me how to share, I've never done a share on Zoom before. I got one really good picture, and I can share it with you guys. Do I go to the share screen?
Let's see. We have to allow sharing. Hold on.
So Kathy, you were out to lunch.
She was out to lunch.
lunch.
I was out to lunch. Very good. Yes, I was.
Let's see. I don't know.
You get it? Hold on, I'll get it. I gotta find Kathy first.
Yeah.
She's in Myrtle Beach.
It was very cool. You just saw this white dot going across the sky, but then what you saw was all the, I don't know if that's vapor or whatever that comes off the back end of the rocket. This was before the first stage dropped off.
Okay, so if you have your photo in open, you can now share it. You should hit the share and find the window that has your picture in it.
Okay.
Share
It's a
screen.
little up arrow in the blue thing is you shared.
Okay, I clicked on share screen. I'm just looking to how I think I see where it's at. Hold on. Oh, it's so small though. I can't.
Just
No, don't worry about that.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. There we go. Here we go. I found it.
Now it's going to open it in a new window.
Okay.
So you need to share to that window.
Okay. So
No, all she has to do is an alt tab.
Alt tab.
Alt tab.
Alt tab.
Yeah.
Alt tab.
Did it do it?
Not yet.
Hold on.
Is it open? Do you see a picture of it?
I did see. Okay, the picture is open, and
Then you should be able to do an alt tab.
okay.
Not control, alt.
Okay, hold on. Okay, alt tab.
And it should take you to all your open screens.
You have to hold down the alt key and tap the tab key.
At the same time. Maybe that's what I wasn't doing. Okay, hold on. I'm closing out all the stuff that I was opening when you guys were posting things. So hold on. Okay, so I got the picture.
Now do an alt tab.
Tab. Why isn't it working?
You know, it's easier to just stop the share and do it.
Yeah, just stop the share at the top and then do a new share.
Okay, stop the share.
Yeah, go back and share it again and find the one that has the window that has the picture in it.
Before you do the share.
Okay.
I've never had trouble with the alt share.
Oh man.
Alt tab.
Yeah, I did that.
You got to reshare now.
And I got to reshare.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to do a new share and pick the window with.
Yeah, I am picking the window. I've got the picture open.
Okay, now you have to share and then select that window.
Oh, okay. Share and then.
Click on that one.
Okay. Share and then alt tab on that window.
Well, no, just click on the one you want to share. Click on the window you want to share.
I did do that. Okay, I clicked on share screen in that window, and it's not doing it. Oh my God!
Either double click on that window or there's a start share thing.
There you go.
You got it?
Yes.
Yeah, there it is.
Isn't that so? And I could have kicked myself because right after that, I tried taking a video and I thought I had the video going, and you see the rocket heading towards where the moon is at, except I didn't click video, and I sat there holding it for about 30 seconds, and I realized I wasn't recording. So I did start recording after that, but then the picture wasn't as clear. But this is the best picture I got. So
Cool.
it was very, very cool. I thought you guys would want to see this.
This looks like a capsule separation.
Yeah, almost.
It wasn't separated at that point because I had my computer out on the deck with me and I was live streaming it while, and listening to what they were saying. And it didn't do the stage separation until it went past where the moon is at. But yeah, it was pretty cool though. I always wanted to go to see one of the, space shuttle launches, and I never got to do this. And I just happened to hear about it on TV.
Were you watching it streaming?
I was watching it. Yeah, there was a website. They were streaming it live.
It may have been delayed by at least a minute on streaming.
Oh, okay.
So you might have actually had it catching it here with the separation.
Oh.
And because the web is that much slower sometimes when they're streaming and there's millions of people online.
Okay. But, and I could hear people cheering all around me. So apparently a lot of other people were watching it too. Anyway, I just thought you might be interested.
Wow, that's a good one too.
Yeah. Okay. So now, then just stop share.
That's all you got to do.
Whoops, I'm losing my computer here. Hold on. Anyway, that was my fun and excitement.
Cool. It's cool stuff. I put a link in chat to the CNN page, which has the video of the launch.
Oh, okay.
I got another question, Ed.
Sure, go ahead.
Okay. I've been looking for an external port that has USB 3 to C, HDMI. I don't know what else.
Do you have a USB 3 now?
I do have USB 3 now.
Okay.
And the problem that I have found is the ports that I have found are all USB-C as the lead wire coming out. I haven't found any with the USB 3.
If you had a USB 3 hub, that's
what I'm looking for, the hub.
A USB 3 hub, right? I mean, they used to have them as part of some of the disc cradles. Yeah, they make those, but there's that USB 4-port USB hub. Hold on, let's see what that one is. I just clicked on one. This is just a USB hub with 4 ports for USB 3. That's it's like $10 on Amazon.
I know that's not what that just says USB. I want a combination of the things. I have one of those.
What you want is a dock.
That's a dock. That's correct. You're looking for a dock.
And USB 3.0, they're kind of fading out on that because USB-C can...
USB-C is the one, that's all I've been finding.
Yeah, that's because USB-C can do so many more different things than USB 3.0.
Yeah. On my laptop, that's okay, but on my desktop, that don't work.
Well, let's see what we've got.
Okay.
I've done some searches and I haven't been successful.
Let's see. This one has 100,000, USB 2, USB-B, DVI, analog digital, 24 plus 5 pin combined DVI, HDMI, super speed HD, USB 3, 9 pin USB type A,
That's
It's a
going up.
Kensington USB 3.0 universal dock station.
And that's probably about $100.
It's $177,
Yeah,
right?
I didn't want to go that much.
Okay, well, they do make them.
Yeah. Okay, I'll do a little more
I
research.
mean, you can look around and see if there's other ones, but
I know.
there's one that's like on Newegg, but that uses a USB-C,
Yeah,
and that's not what you want.
no. Let me play around and see. I just was curious if anybody had one that was USB. We'll leave
Ones,
it at-
the ones I've got are USB-C or Thunderbolt.
Yeah,
I've got one for my Chromebook and I've got one for my NUC.
yeah.
Let's
Well,
see. I'm not sure. Yeah.
No, that's not going to be that.
Okay, that's good enough.
There is one you can get at Walmart, and it's $27.99, and it's got HDMI, VGA, USB 3.0, and a few other things.
Okay,
And
okay, that gives me an idea. I'll look at Walmart and see.
It's USB 3.0, Walmart, Joy-Buy.
Okay. Good enough. That's a good start.
They also have ones that are much more expensive.
Now, granted, you may go through it and you might find it's no longer available, is what you might find out. But
Yeah,
and also with the chip shortage, some of these things may not be available for a while either.
I know.
Well, this actually looks like an older model, so it may be something that's been sitting around in a warehouse.
I'll take a look and see.
Yeah. Walmart is one place. Best Buy tends to go up to $80.
I know.
Here's another one at Walmart that's $28. And yet another one with dual display, and it's also at Walmart. Yeah, Walmart's the place to go. Either Walmart or eBay.
Yeah.
eBay will have older ones, and they'll be in stock. Newegg.
Yeah. Well, the one I saw in Newegg had a USB-C connection on it. So
This one, actually, it says Type C. You're right. You're right. That one is
$79. Yep.
No, I see one that's $27.43.
Oh, okay.
But it's still USB-C. So forget that. And there are some that are much more expensive. Oh, here's one at eBay that is $19 used.
Let's see. Okay, that gives me a little better.
Is this for a laptop or a desktop?
Desktop.
So they do exist.
Yeah.
And again, another Walmart.
I mean, you could also consider a USB-C port for your desktop.
Yeah, I don't have a slot for it.
Oh, okay.
The slot has been taken up by a USB card.
Well, take out the USB card, and put the USB-C in, and then mirror all the other ones there.
Yeah. It might be a way to go too. Okay.
Yeah.
You have options. You have options.
Yeah, I know. You've given them to me, and that's what I'll look at.
Cool. All right.
Good, good.
Thank you.
Okay. Any suggestions for future meetings? Silence.
We're making it hard on you, Ed.
Yeah, I know. I know.
I know.
Has anybody used uBreak iFix?
uBreak iFix.
No,
I
okay.
haven't.
For their phones? Because my phone is still on the, it's starting to bevel a little bit where the battery is. And I need to get the battery swapped out. And unfortunately, I don't want to send my phone away for anything more than a day or two at a time. And most of the places that I would try and do this with, you have to mail it away and then see it in a week or two.
Mhm. Well, you
And
have to do that even at the kiosks at the mall.
Yeah, but the U-Break iFix is supposed to have a number of local places where you can bring your device in and maybe 4 or 5 hours later pick it up.
Yeah, I've got one place in Highland, Indiana. I live in Hammond, and I know there's a store there because I came across that information before, but I haven't gone in to see what it's like.
Uh-huh. I would call them first to make sure they have my battery in stock before I attempt to drop it off. So
There was a place in Schaumburg maybe a year ago. I don't know if it was U-Break iFix, but it was a similar kind of place, a storefront where you could take it in. But I don't know if they're.
yeah, well, they sort of lend themselves more to phones and tablets and like battery replacements and display replacements, etc. So
They've got places in a lot of the malls. They've got a little store front in there, but you have to watch their hours because they're not always there 100%.
right, and I've tried to call a couple of them, and the one person was not did not know how to change it on a Z4 Motorola, and he said, "Oh, my manager does," and I said, "Well, when you get a battery in, call me," and they have not called me back in a month. So. Either they're not able to get batteries or there's something else that's not right there. Okay. Well, if anybody does have...
jumped up and offered to do the brake part, but
no, it's already broken all by the battery is already bulging. It's the battle of the bulge, yes. So I want to do it before it cracks the display.
I don't know.
Ed, I'm looking online and I see U-Break iFix. 2511 West Schaumburg Road.
Oh, they have them all over the place. I just wanted to know if anybody used one of them and tried it. They swore by it or swore at it. Yeah. Now, I got one over in Lake Zurich or something. I can probably stop by. So
I got a couple of suggestions, Ed.
Yeah.
VPN and VirtualBox.
Okay. VirtualBox.
How to use it.
The problem with VPNs, though, is it's not always easy to do much of it through a Zoom connection unless you have a termination point for a VPN. I mean, I use VPN to manage some of my church systems with a VPN capability into the router that already supports it.
Yeah,
but not everybody's router supports VPN software. And the question is, how do you demonstrate some of that on a meeting?
The only way is by doing a PDF or so, taking snapshots of the steps you go through.
I'll put that down on my list.
Well, if you're going to do VirtualBox, you might as well touch upon for those that have the version of 10 and the version of 11.
Well, I may have to defer that to somebody who's running 11. Tim?
I mean, still running 11. Mine may stop in 1 month, less than a month.
Okay. Well, none of my machines have the right chipset in it to support 11, so we'll see what that does.
Well, I've only got it myself. Most of them will not.
Most of mine are second and third generation Intel stuff.
At second, third, fourth, fifth, eighth, and a few others that will not support newsstand. Got a bunch of Chromebooks, of course, would not do it, but you can put Windows on a Chromebook. It's a simple, cheap computer. It's just it's not worth doing. And then you have a bunch of older stuff that have Core 2 processors or Core 2 quad processors.
I got some of those. I got Core 2 Duo and Core 2 quads. but they would not be candidates for upgrades in any case. I think they would barely run 10 as it is.
The quads do quite well, but the duos really do struggle. Also, same with Athlon 64X2 processors. They would struggle with 10 as well.
Right. Okay. Well, I have some ideas. And if you guys have anything else, you can always squirt me an email and I'll look at it.
What a concept. I'm putting in chat the guys that I used for repair.
Okay.
There's Zombie. You got to love their name. They're Zombie Tech.
Sid, are they on Algonquin?
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, I had them do a computer repair for me once, and they were really good. I was happy with them.
I've taken in both. I had them do a notebook, fan, and a tablet.
Did they do more than just iPhones? Oh, there they go. Well, they do have Motorola. Okay, good. All right, and Algonquin, and all right. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay, I think that's our meeting then, folks. And we'll see you next month, I guess.
Thank you for your help.
All right.
Good night,
Thanks.
everyone.
Take
Night, all.
care.
Thank you and good night.